The word says that God corrects the ones he loves. When God starts correcting you, that means he loves you. It's proof of love. So correction is proof of love. A GPS, even though it doesn't have feelings or emotions, but if it did, it telling you how to get back on path is a sign of love. Letting you just drive anywhere is a sign I don't care. So correction equals direction. And that's what I love about God. God doesn't correct me to harm me, hurt me, shame me, blame me, condemn me. He corrects me to direct me because he wants me to stay on the best path for my life. He wants me to stay on the right path for my life. And in order for me, you, us to stay on the right path for our life, guess what? We got to be clear. We've got to assess our progress, and we can't allow ourselves to get off course for weeks, months, and years, and then say, okay, now I'm going to finally make a course correction. Man, make course corrections along the way. Don't let life pile up, addictions pile up, struggles pile up, offense pile up, unforgiveness pile up, all this garbage pile up, and now you really have to work and through all this stuff. And man, don't wait. Man, do what the word says. Don't let the sun go down on your wrath. Forgive 70 times 7. Let it go. Don't let someone else drain your emotional tank. Don't let someone else drain your joy, drain your peace. Assess your progress. Check in with yourself. This is going to help you stay motivated. This is going to help you stay on course, right? We're not going to get into that whole teaching right there, and then finally, the R stands for reinforce your commitment. Reinforce your commitment. Once you clarify your vision, once you list your priorities, once you're engaging in actionable steps, once you assess your progress, now what we're going to do is I'm going to reinforce my commitment, right? I'm going to tell myself I'm going to continue. That's what Jesus said. He said, occupy till I come. What does that mean? That means the literal meaning means to advance and hold. It doesn't mean to take 10 steps forward, 15 steps back, 20 steps forward, 5 steps back. Reinforcing your commitment is like advancing and holding. Okay, I lost 5 pounds this week. Come on, the goal now is to lose 3 more, five more next week, or 2 more, whatever it is. All right, I got the garage organized this week. Okay, now this week I'm going to work on the kitchen. I'm going to advance and hold on, and I'm not going to let the garage get back in a hot mess. I'm not going to let the kitchen get back in a hot mess. I'm going to continue to work on these things. I'm going to advance and hold, which is, I don't know about you, but it's a constant battle, right? Especially when you have family, friends, and life happens. You're having to constantly move things out, bring things in, right? Anybody relate to this, right? Let's jump into focus on the top 3 priorities in each area. I just want to revisit this for just a moment. We talked about listing priorities, but as you start to close this year, you're going to get to a point where you're going to say, okay, what are the top 3 or 4 or 5 things that I need to complete before the end of this year that I don't need to carry into 2025? I know we all have some stuff, and I've been looking at my calendar and I've been looking at my list and saying, man, there's a few things here that I just have to get off my plate. And let me tell you why. And let me tell you the reason why I'm encouraging you to do the same thing. In order for you to thrive in 2025, you've got to make room for more, right? And you think about this. If you think about yourself as a store, as a house, as a building, we all have only so much capacity. We can only all give so much out at a certain amount at a time, right? We have commitments to certain things that we can and cannot do because of life. And I wouldn't start to mention all these things, but it's just the case, right? And so we have to get really committed about what I need to close out so I can make room for what God has for me in 2025. I don't need to be investing my time, resources, my money, my energy, my emotional intelligence in anything that needs to get out before I move into 2025. And there might be some that you want to put on this list that just are no longer even relevant any longer in your life. There's some 3 to 5 things I would list that you need to complete, but I would also make a list of some things that you just don't need to complete. That these things are just not relevant in your wheelhouse, not relevant, and where you are in the season of your life. Get it off your list. I mean, I took some time yesterday, and I was consolidating my list. I was consolidating goal sheets, and I was ripping up paper. And I'm telling you, man, there's such a feeling of accomplishment, and there's such a feeling of relief when you unload a bunch of stuff that you've been carrying. A lot of times we don't even celebrate. I want to say this to many of us, and we need to work on this. Many times we don't even celebrate the little wins that God gives us on a daily basis because we've got so much going, right? And we want to avoid this, because when you can start to celebrate the small wins, and you start to see that these small wins are leading to big wins, these little small steps. You know, the Bible says that the Israelites took back over their land little by little. Just put it in modern day English, little by little. You know, and that's sometimes what happens is because we're looking at the big stuff, we don't see the little stuff that God's doing every day. And why is it important to focus in on and recognize the little stuff? Because when we can see the little stuff that God's doing, man, you can be grateful on a regular basis, right? And gratitude affects our attitude. And this is why writing things down, man, brings a lot of clarity. You're not guessing what you accomplished, right? You can actually see, wow, I'm accomplishing X, Y, Z. And what does that do? We talked about this just the other day, is that when you're keeping your word to yourself, again, I'm not against keeping your word. I believe that you should do everything in your power to keep. If you said something, do what you said you're going to do. Keep your word, right? At the same time, if you tell self, I'm going to shed these 20 pounds, then self, you need to do that, because if you keep telling self that and you don't do it, you're going to lose trust in self. You're going to lose confidence in self because you're not keeping your word to yourself. If you keep saying, I'm going to organize this or do that or start this project, and you're not doing it, you're not keeping your word to yourself. And so what happens? You lose confidence. How do I build confidence in myself? I keep my word to myself.